So OS installation is completed. So next, Linux basic commands. So Linux basic commands. Hmm. So you already know the FSHs, right? The Linux file system hierarchy. Yes, Magna,
Yes, yes.
Ashita, you know, right? So file system hierarchy. So in the file system hierarchy, if you know the file system hierarchy, right? So I will give you the access to the my GitHub. Yeah. So this is the yeah. So you guys, this is the my GitHub recording, my GitHub account. So Hare Krishna Cheruku 866 slash AWS DevOps hyphen material. So this is my GitHub repository. You guys can go to this and you guys can download all the documentation. So see, so this is the Linux material. Once you click the Linux material, right, it will open. If you have the GitHub account or if you don't have the GitHub account, so no need to worry about it. It will open if you click this URL. Okay, yeah, you can download it from here also. So the material, the Linux material, you can download it from here. Okay. And, yes, Satish.
Uh, Please ping the link, bro.
Yeah, yeah, I will give you the link here.
URL.
Yep, yep. Yeah, I pasted in the chat.
Yeah, thank you.
File system. Yeah, yeah. This is the file system hierarchy, guys. So you already know, right? So Linux uses single rooted inverted tree like file system hierarchy. So what is slash? What is root? What is home? What is boot? What is slash etc? What is USR? What is OPT? What is bin? What is sbin? What is dev? What is var? What is media? What is mnt? I already discussed. Satish, I will share the recording. Okay.
Sure, bro. Yeah.
Yeah. So these are the commands, guys. You guys can download it from here and you can practice the commands here. Meghna, Harshita, and Satish. Okay. I will tell you the commands, but you guys can so download it from here and you can, if you want, you guys can create a, you guys can take the Xerox or something like if you want to practice, you can practice from here also. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So you already know the FSHs, right? File system hierarchy. So the basic commands of Linux. What is the basic commands? So which OS we installed on the virtual machine? Meghna, Rishita,
CentOS.
CentOS.
CentOS 9.
Yeah. CentOS 9 we installed. So when we log into the server, right? You logged into the server. Okay. Mm, so for example, Paint. So yeah. So for example, this is your laptop. And you install the virtual machine. And you install a CentOS 9 on the server. So you want to, for example, you assume like that. So this is the DC. What is DC? So a DC is nothing but a data center, guys. Data center. So your VM, your virtual machine is uh, provisioned or build it in the data center. You want to log into the server. So on our laptop, this is the laptop. So this data center is in the Chennai location or Chennai, Hyderabad, whatever it may be. Chennai location. You are in the Hyderabad location. Hyderabad location. This is your Windows mission. So you want to connect the server. This is the Windows mission, guys. What this mission is? This mission is Windows mission. You want to connect the Linux mission from Windows mission. So what are the options? How you can connect from this Linux mission on the Windows mission, guys? So Madhu, Meghna, you already know, right? How you can connect a Linux mission in the Windows mission. Guys, here you see the Linux to Linux is the same platform. You can connect this. So Windows to Windows also same platform, right? So we can easily connect. But so Linux to Windows, these are the cross platform. So directly we cannot connect or we cannot communicate. So we cannot communicate directly. So we can connect the servers directly from Linux to Linux. So Windows to Windows. So both are the same platform, right? They are connecting from SSH. So Windows servers they are connecting from RDP protocol, remote desktop protocol. So for example, Windows to Windows, it will be RDP. Linux to Linux, it will be SSH, right? So how we can connect from Linux to Windows machine, guys? So Linux to Windows. Yeah. So Windows to Windows, we can connect via something like MSTSC, right? You see, this is the remote desktop connection. So this is the remote desktop connection. So we can connect directly. We can provide the IP address or the host name. Then we can provide the credentials, username and password. Then need to automatically connect the server, right? In Linux, we can connect through SSH, something like Git Bash. Yeah, we have a Git Bash, right? So for example, Git Bash is giving the shell prop. How you can connect the server? You can connect the server from SSH, something like -p, port number 22, and for example, username at the rate IP address. So we can connect. So Linux to Linux. This is the way we can connect Linux. Okay. So how you can connect from a Linux on a Linux machine on a Windows machine, guys? How you can connect? Meghna
Putty we
or
can use.
we can connect Putty. So what is Putty? So what is Putty, Meghna? So
That is
Putty
an
is a
open source software.
yeah. It's a open source third party. tools. We cannot connect directly in the Windows, the same platform. These not both are not same platform, right? So who are providing the yeah, so we need a third party software. So which one? So third party software, Putty is the third party software. What it will provide? It will provide the SSH. What it will provide? It will provide the SSH. So shell prompt. So you can use the Putty and we can connect the server via Putty guys in the Windows. Guys understood? Yeah, the same way. Harshita, you got the IP address of the server, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So can you try to connect this? So once you open the server and start the server, then you can just get the IP address. You guys can install the putty and you can connect it from here. Okay. Yeah, guys. So for example, once you connect the putty, right? We are getting it just user. You have the IP address of the server, username of the server, and password. You have all these three. You have all these three. So once you open the putty, right, you are getting the black screen. So right, something like you are getting this black screen. So this is the shell prompt, right? So which OS is installed on this mission? So how do you figure out? How do you find out? So what is the command to figure out the which OS, which flavor of the version, and which version of the OS is installed? So does anyone knows? Satish, Meghna.
You name -a. You name -a.
So uname-a, we will get the kernel version only, right? We'll get the kernel version.
Uname -r kernel version.
Uname-a. So it will get the
Uname.
Linux. Yeah, yeah. So uname-a, it will get the, it is installed a Linux mission or something like uname-a. Yeah. So this is a Windows mission. That's the reason we are unable to get it. Actually, in my system, I uninstall the OS.
We
Meghna,
can
you
check
already
in
opened the.
hyphen release.
Hmm?
We can check in OS hyphen release.
OS-release. Very good. So the command is, so what is the command? cat/etc os-release. So in os-release, so it will get the which OS is installed and which version of the OS is installed. For example, so what we discussed all Red Hat INC provided OSs. INC provided OSs. What are the Red Hat provided OSs? Fedora, CentOS, Red Hat, right? These three are the Red Hat INCs. So Oracle INC also created types of OSs, that is Oracle, Oracle Linux, right? And Amazon company also took that source code and created their own versions called as a Amazon Linux 2, Amazon Linux 2, Amazon Linux 2023. So all these Linuxes, all these Red Hat, Oracle INC, and Amazon INC. This is the Oracle INC and Amazon INC, Oracle Linux and Amazon Linux. These are the copy from the Fedora, CentOS, Red Hat Linuxes. So whatever the commands we are executing in the Fedora, CentOS, Red Hat, Fedora, right? The same command will execute in the Oracle Linux and Amazon Linux. So for example, I want to check the which version of the OS is installed on these machines. The command is /etc cat/etc Red Hat hyphen release. So this command is worked on the Amazon Linux, Oracle Linux, and Fedora, CentOS, and Red Hat. So apart from these, so I want to check the which flavor of the OS is installed on these machines. That is OS-release. OS-release is the command. Guys, now you understood? Satish?
Bro, yeah.
Yes, right. Yeah. So yeah. So kernel is the heart of the OS. We already discussed about the Linux architecture. So what is the kernel? Kernel is the heart of the OS, right? So we already discussed about the kernel, right? Yeah. So what is a kernel? So what is a kernel, guys? What is
Uh,
kernel?
it is uh, it is an interface between the
Hmm.
user and the OS or hardware.
Yes. 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 It is the interface between kernel and the OS. Yeah, one second. What is this? So this is the architecture of the Linux. Architecture of the Linux. So this is the hardware. For example, Dell PowerEdge R710. This is the hardware. In the hardware, we install the kernel, right? We install the kernel. So on top of the kernel, there is a shell. On top of the kernel, there is a shell. In the shell, so we will execute the commands in the shell. So what is kernel? Kernel is the a middleware, or a kernel is the mediator between the shell and the hardware. So what is a kernel? Kernel is a central component of the operating system. It acts as an interface between the user application. So what is that? These are the user applications and the hardware. Okay, the main aim of the kernel is to manage the communication between the software and the hardware. What is the main aim? The main aim of the kernel is to manage the communication between the software and the hardware. The what are the the main tasks the kernel is doing: process management, device management, memory management, input handling, IO communication, file system, etc. Okay. So is Linux is a kernel or operating system, guys? So is Linux is a kernel or operating system? What is kernel? Is Linux a kernel or an operating system, guys? So what is a kernel? So there is a difference between kernel and OS. Kernel is the heart of the OS, which manages the core features of an OS, while if some useful applications and utilities are added over the kernel, then the complete package becomes a OS. Complete package becomes a OS. It can easily be said that operating system consists of a kernel space and a user space. There is a kernel space and a user space. Is understood? So the kernel space and the user space. So types of kernels. What are the types of kernels? Something like a monolithic kernel and a microkernel. So monolithic kernel and a microkernel. So where we are interacting with this OS, we are interacting with this OS through SSH only, right? SH, shell, shell only, right? So what is a shell? A shell is a software program that allows you to interact and access a computer system. What is shell, guys? A shell is for example, this is the shell, echo dollar shell. So something like what this shell is a bin bash. What is a bash? So bash is nothing but a born again shell. What is shell? Shell is a software program that allows you to interact and access a computer. For example, this is the shell, right? So how you can interact with this hardware, something like ls, mkdir, cd, right? These are the commands. A shell is a software program that allows you to interact and access a computer system. User can enter the commands in the shell prompt. User can enter the commands in the shell prompt, which will execute by the shell. So which will execute by the shell. Since the only means of the communication through shell is text. So what is, guys? Text ls hyphen ltr, something like cd, mkdir. How you are interacting with this voice, guys? You are interacting with this voice through shell. The only means of communication through shell is a text. What is this? So this is the a text, guys. It is known as a command line interface. What is CLI? So command line interface is nothing but a, so the only communication through shell is a text. It is known as a command line interface. A shell is a command line interpreter and serves as a user interface to the Linux kernel. Shell uses to the interface to the Linux kernel. Okay. So what are the types of cells? So how many types of cells we have? So something like a types of cells. So what are the types of cells we have, guys? So shells are something like how you are interacting with that OS through the shell only. So types of cell is nothing but a SH shell. SH shell. SH is nothing but a shell. So bash shell. Bash shell is nothing but a born again shell. So Linux uses only bash shell. Okay. And the CSH, corn shell, and TC, SH shell, TCSH shell, K shell, KSH shell. These all are the shell types. But Linux uses only bash, born again shell. Born again shell. Okay. Linux uses the bash shell. Guys, understood?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So once you open the Linux, something like you provided the username password, then username password, then here, right? Something like, for example, this is the once you open the username password, once you give the IP address username password, then you will get the this prompt. So what this prompt is? So this prompt is nothing but a user prompt. So user prompt. So what is user prompt? So what this? This is the user prompt. What you will get? You logged in as a root user, and for example, local host. So local host, then tilde symbol, then hash. So what this is? Here we are executing the commands, right? In this prompt, this is the user prompt. Here we are executing the commands, right? So what this is? So something like a, what is the first one? Login name. So what is the login name, guys? Root is the login name, right? The second one is a mission name. Mission name or server name or host name. Host name. So what is this? So this is something like a server name. What is the server name? So here localhost, because of, so I'm not created any server name. That's the reason. This is the so, localhost. Localhost, right? What is the third one? What this is? This is the tilt symbol. What this symbol is? Tilt. So what is tilt? Tilt showing the present working directory. So what is this? Tilt showing the present working directory. Next, so what is this? This is the user profile. What is this? This is the user profile. So what is the user profile? Something like a user profile. What this user profile? Something like if it is a hash. So if it is a hash privileged move. So hash privileged means is nothing but a root. So root will only get the hash privileged mode, and root can do any command. Root is the super user, so root can do anything. Root can do anything. Okay, so root can do anything or something like a. So this is the once you logged in as a root user, right? But you logged in as a normal user called as a something like a Hari or blujaytech is the normal user, and localhost tilt which privileges we get the normal dollar privileges. So something like BlueJayTech is the normal user. So that is the reason we are getting the privilege as a dollar privilege. So here you logged in as a root user having the hash privileges. Hash privileges means can do anything. But dollar privilege means you have a certain limit of permissions because of you logged in as a normal user. Normal user execute only the bin command. Super user can execute both bin and sbin commands, right? So that's the reason root user. If you have a hash privilege, you can do anything. Okay. Yeah. So and so once you log in, right? So something like a hash who. The command is who am I. So what it will shows, guys, who am I. So who is logged in. Who is logged in, it will display who is logged in. So for example, Hari user or something like a root user. So the next command is who. What is who? So how many users are logged in? It will display who, it will display how many users are logged in. How many users are logged in, it will display. It will display, right? So what are the command? Uname. So uname -r. It will display the kernel version. It will display the kernel version. Kernel version. It will display the kernel version. Uname-a. It will display the kernel entire architecture. So entire architecture, it will display. It will display. And the commands is cat /etc os-release. It will display the OS, which OS is installed or which OS is installed on which version of the which version of the OS. So it will display the which version of the OS. So this command is applicable for every OS, every Linux OS. But so this command is specific for Red Hat released Red Hat released versions. Okay. So these are the commands. Who am I? So who is logged in? Who? How many users are logged in? Uname-r kernel version, uname-a architecture, cat/etc OS-release, which OS is installed on which version of the OS is. You can display on the these two commands. This command is specifically for a Red Hat flavor, and this is so that the whole OS it will execute the command. Okay. Next, guys. So this is a prompt. So the block string. So how do you figure out? So something like in Linux, Windows, we call it as a folder, and in Linux, a folder is nothing but a Linux folder is nothing but. Guys, tell me what is Linux? What is folder in Linux?
Direct.
Directory.
Yes, very good. Directory. We call it as a directory. And a folder is nothing but a directory in the Linux. Okay. The folder is nothing but a directory in the Linux. For example, so this is the prompt. This is the a prompt localhost. And so what is the symbol? Tilt is the symbol and hash privilege mode. What is the privilege mode? Hash privilege mode, guys. Right. I want to execute this command. I want to execute this command ls. What it will display, guys? So ls, what it will display? What ls is? Ls is nothing but a list of files and directories. It will display the list of files and directories. But how do you figure out? So how do you figure out? It is a file or a directory. It is a file or a directory. For example, So for example, this is the ls command. So how do you figure out? So this is a file or this is a directory. Guys, how do you figure out? Anyone knows?
So LSF and LTR, it will display
ls hyphen
LTR.
LTR, it will
It will,
display.
yeah.
Yeah. So how do you figure out this is a directory or a file?
Yeah. For file, it is hyphen. For directory, it is D. Starts with.
Yes, very good. You see, right? The starting letter in the ls, it will display, just it will display the files and directories, but we cannot figure out it is a file or directory. But in the ls-ltr or a ll command, what is that command, guys? Ll is nothing but a long list. So how do you figure out the first letter? What is that? The first letter, if it is a D, it will be a directory. If it is a hyphen, it will be a file. If it is a L, it will be a link file. Okay. So D hyphen is nothing but a file, D is nothing but a directory, and L is nothing but a link file. L is nothing but a link file.
Hari, I'll have to drop off for
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
Can you
Yeah.
share the audio?
I will share the recording.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So the starting letter is D. The starting letter is D is nothing but a directory. The starting letter L is nothing but a link. Yeah. So the starting letter hyphen is nothing but a file. Guys, understood? So what is this? So yeah, the starting letter D is nothing but a directory. What this is? This is a directory. So the starting letter L is nothing but a link file. What is that? It's a link file. And the starting letter hyphen is nothing but a file. The starting letter hyphen is nothing but a file. Guys, now you understood? So how do you figure out? So the starting letter is hyphen, that is a file. D is nothing but a directory. L is nothing but a link file. So in which command we can use it? LL or ls hyphen LTR. So LL is nothing but a long list. LS is nothing but a list of files and directories. Okay. So these are the commands we can execute. And how do you see the kernel version? Uname hyphen R. So how do you see the whole architecture? You can use the uname hyphen A. So and the so you can use ls CPU. What is LF CPU? The CPU information like so info PP info like 64-bit 64-bit or 32-bit. Say 64-bit or 32-bit. So we can check it. And the ARC ARCH. ARC is nothing but a architecture of the OS. It will display the architecture of the OS, right? So we'll discuss. So tomorrow what we will discuss? So we'll discuss about the tomorrow. So how to create a directory and number of directories. So we'll discuss about the directories and change directories, a CD, and we'll discuss the command. So tomorrow we'll discuss the so how to create a directory within the directory and a number of many number of folders. I want to create a number of directories within the directories. So right, so I want to change directory the number of directories. I want to create a parent directory within the directory. So how to go to the directories, how to navigate the a navigation of the directories. I want to get into the single one step back, two step back, three steps back, four steps back, and we can discuss about the commands like rm command, copy command, move command, and grep. We'll discuss about the and the file systems like head. We can discuss about head, tail, less, more. So I want to execute the number of commands. I want to execute the multiple commands at a time. So the semicolon we can use the colon command to discuss to execute the more commands. I want to execute a number of commands within the same. And then we'll execute the text processing tools. So text processing tools, VA, touch, and cat. We'll discuss these guys. So we'll discuss the file processing, and the text processing tools, and the basic commands we'll discuss and we will complete tomorrow, guys. So then we'll start the user administration, file permissions, so disk partition, package management, then how to deploy the application. So then we'll complete the Linux and we'll show you one script, how to write the script. Okay. So then we'll start the AWS. Okay. Chandu, I will give you the separate task for you. Okay. Chandu, sorry, Satish.
Bro, who is Chendu?
Sorry, Satish. So Satish, I shared it
Yeah,
in the WhatsApp. You there, right?
yes, yes, bro. Yeah,
So you already know the center is sorry, Ansible, right?
yeah, I know a little bit Ansible. Yes,
Little bit Ansible, right?
if I
So
can
I gave
go.
a task.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,